President Trump is stepping in with decisive action. After a string of deadly crashes, he is cracking down on unsafe practices in the trucking industry. His goal is simple: protect American lives and put an end to reckless drivers that turn the highways into danger zones. Families can finally see that someone is standing up for their safety. This is not just policy. This is action in the face of urgent danger. This crackdown is made to hold drivers and companies accountable, making sure that only qualified and responsible truckers are allowed on the roads. It is a clear message that lives matter, and the era of unchecked risk on American highways is over. For years, weak oversight has allowed dangerous drivers to turn highways into war zones. Across the nation, trucking incidents are growing more frequent and more deadly. Every state is seeing crashes caused by drivers who are unqualified, untrained, or maybe just simply careless. The chaos is real. Families are at risk every time they get on the road. Traffic stops can become deadly in seconds when a reckless driver is behind the wheel. And these are not rare accidents. They're the result of systems that have failed to enforce safety rules and hold drivers and companies accountable. Highways that should be safe corridors for commerce and travel have instead become sites of fear and tragedy. Americans deserve better. They deserve roads where families can drive without constant danger from unsafe and untested drivers. On August 12, 2025, this terrible accident happened on Florida's turnpike near Fort Pierce, killing 3 people and shocking the nation. Around 2:57 p.m., a truck driver by Harjinder Singh, a 28-year-old illegal immigrant, made an illegal U-turn at a restricted official use only area near mile marker 171. The truck suddenly blocked all northbound lanes, creating a dangerous situation for cars coming from behind. A Chrysler Town & Country minivan going north had no time to stop and hit the truck's trailer, getting stuck underneath. Rescue teams arrived quickly, but 2 passengers died right away, and the driver later died in the hospital. The victims were everyday people from Florida: a 30-year-old man from Florida City who was driving the minivan, a 37-year-old woman from Pompano Beach, and a 54-year-old man from Miami. Their sudden deaths shocked local communities and left families with deep grief. Singh, on the other hand, survived without any injuries, showing how unfair the accident's effects were. Dashcam videos from nearby cars showed Singh making the illegal U-turn, proving that his dangerous action caused the crash. Investigations showed big problems in the system. Singh had entered the US illegally in 2018, but still got a commercial driver's license in California and Washington. After the crash, federal authorities tested his basic driving skills in English. He answered only 2 out of 12 English questions correctly and recognized just 1 of 4 basic road signs. And these results showed he did not have the basic skills needed to drive a big truck safely, raising questions about how he got licensed. After the crash, Singh was arrested in California and sent back to Florida, where he faces 3 charges of vehicular homicide. He's being held without bond while the case moves forward. The accident started a big debate about road safety, immigration, and driver licensing. A petition supporting Singh, saying the crash was an accident, has millions of signatures. But Florida officials say the death of 3 people cannot be ignored. Because of the accident, Florida said all the truckaway stations will now also be immigration and customs enforcement checkpoints. This is meant to stop unqualified drivers from driving big trucks and making highways safer. The Florida Turnpike crash has shown serious gaps in driver licensing and immigration checks, and people are calling for stronger rules so something like this does not happen again. Also on June 28, 2025, a horrific crash on Interstate 20 near Terrell, Texas resulted in the death of 5 individuals. The incident occurred when Alexis Gonzalez Campagnoni, a 27-year-old truck driver, admitted to falling asleep at the wheel of his 18-wheeler. This caused a chain reaction collision involving multiple vehicles. The victims also included 4 members of the McKellar family: Sean, Zabar, their 15-year-old son, Kason, and 79-year-old grandfather, Billy, who were traveling home from East Texas. Tragically, they died at the scene. The 5th victim, 49-year-old Nicole Gregory from Dallas, also perished in the crash. The sole survivor, 20-year-old Evan McKellar, remains in critical condition. Gonzalez Campione has been charged with 5 counts of manslaughter and 4 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Investigations revealed that there were no signs he applied brakes before the collision. This tragedy underscores the devastating consequences of driver fatigue and the urgent need for stricter regulations to ensure road safety. The crashes in Florida and Texas are part of a disturbing pattern that shows deep flaws in the trucking system. These events are not isolated accidents, but the results of weak oversight and unsafe practices that put lives at risk. In Florida, on August 12, 2025, an illegal immigrant truck driver made an illegal U-turn on the turnpike, killing 3 people. He had failed basic English and road sign tests, but was still allowed to drive, and likewise in Texas on June 28. Alexis Gonzalez fell asleep at the wheel on Interstate 20, causing a crash that killed 5 people. The most heartbreaking thing about the August 12th incident was that the same driver had a history of safety violations that went unaddressed as far back as January 30th, 2019, when he collapsed the Dale Bend River Bridge while trying to drive his overweight truck over the 88-year-old bridge in Arkansas. These tragedies reveal a broken system that prioritizes convenience over safety. Weak oversight, inadequate testing, and a lack of accountability have all allowed dangerous drivers to remain on the road. Urgent reforms are needed to protect lives and prevent further disasters. Now moving on to a thing known as chameleon carriers. They're known to be trucking companies that repeatedly shut down to escape mounting safety violations and then reopen under new names to continue operating as if nothing happened. And this deceptive practice allows them to bypass penalties and maintain a clean safety record, all while continuing to endanger lives on the road. These companies often dissolve through bankruptcy or other means after accumulating a series of safety violations. They then reestablish themselves with a new identity, including a new Department of Transportation number, effectively erasing their troubled history. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration has recognized the threat raised by chameleon carriers and has implemented rules to identify and shut them down. However, enforcement has been inconsistent, and many of these companies continue to operate with freedom. The existence of chameleon carriers points out a significant flaw in the trucking industry. Companies can avoid accountability by simply changing their name. Now that loophole allows them to continue operating without addressing the root causes of their safety issues by putting all road users at risk. To truly protect public safety, it's important that regulators close this loophole and hold these companies accountable for their actions. And until then, innocent lives remain at the mercy of these deceptive practices. The U.S. trucking industry is plagued by systemic failures that allow unsafe drivers to remain on the road. Regulatory loopholes, inadequate testing, and inconsistent enforcement have created an environment where public safety is compromised. One significant issue is the lack of comprehensive safety ratings for carriers. As of recent data, over 94% of interstate freight carriers have no verified safety audit, inspection, or accountability beyond self-reporting. And that means that millions of trucks operate without any formal assessment of their safety standards. Additionally, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration has faced criticism for its enforcement practices. A report highlighted that FCMSA's oversight of states' actions to disqualify commercial drivers when warranted was insufficient. This lack of oversight allows unsafe drivers to continue operating, putting them and others' lives at risk. Furthermore, the FMCSA's vetting process for operating authority applicants has been questioned. While the process is intended to ensure that applicants comply with applicable statutes and regulations, there have been instances where carriers with questionable safety records have been granted operating authority. And when the system fails to hold carriers and drivers accountable, the consequences are dire. In 2022, nearly 6,000 people died in truck-related crashes, and each of these fatalities represents a life lost due to preventable circumstances. The victims of this broken system are everyday Americans, commuters, families, and workers who deserve better. And it's important that FMCSA and other regulatory bodies address these failures to ensure safer roads ahead. However, following the fatal crash on Florida's turnpike, the Trump administration announced an immediate stop to the issuance of worker visas for commercial truck drivers. Secretary of State Marco Rubio stated that the decision was made to protect American lives and jobs, citing concerns over the increasing number of foreign drivers operating large tractor-trailer trucks on U.S. roads. And the decision to freeze CDL visas was a part of a broader effort to make the immigration rules stricter for commercial vehicle drivers. The administration has also launched a comprehensive review of over 55 million individuals holding U.S. visas to identify any violations that could lead to visa revocation and possible deportation. The initiative includes continuous vetting of all visa holders, including tourists, students, and those on temporary visas, checking for overstays, criminal behavior, or potential security threats. While the move has been praised by some for prioritizing American workers and safety, it has also faced criticism. Critics argue that the decision could worsen the existing shortage of commercial truck drivers in the U.S., which the American Trucking Association estimates to be about 60,000 drivers. They also contend that policy may be more politically motivated than based on broader safety concerns. In summary, the Trump administration's decision to freeze CDL visas represents a significant shift in immigration policy aimed at enhancing road safety and protecting American workers. However, the long-term implications for this policy are on the trucking industry. The broader economy remains to be seen. The decision to freeze commercial drivers' visas carries serious weight because it directly addresses the growing concern of unsafe foreign drivers in U.S. highways. And by stopping the inflow of new visa applicants, the government is aiming to protect American lives from accidents caused by drivers who may or may not fully meet U.S. standards or training requirements. Another key reason behind the freeze is the need to close the door on unqualified applicants who might slip through the cracks in the asylum. Continuous vetting and stricter checks means fewer chances for individuals with questionable records, fake documents, or insufficient experience to operate massive tractor-trailers on American roads. This is not just about paperwork, it's about preventing tragedies before they happen. Finally, the freeze is also about prioritizing American truckers. With the tens of thousands of job positions open in the industry, many believe U.S. citizens should have the first opportunity to take these jobs. Supporters of the policy argue that it ensures better wages, safer driving conditions, and more stability for hard-working families who rely on trucking as their livelihood. Donald Trump has made it clear that American workers come first, and in trucking this means protecting U.S. drivers from being replaced by cheaper foreign labor. And for too long, carriers have looked overseas to reduce costs, while hard-working truckers at home struggle to keep steady jobs. And the visa freeze shifts the focus back to where it belongs, on American men and women who keep the country moving. The policy also raises safety and accountability. When drivers are trained and licensed under U.S. standards, the roads become safer for everyone. Companies are forced to hire drivers who understand the laws, the language, and the responsibility of moving goods across America. Finally, the American trucker is put back in the driver's seat. Instead of being pushed aside, they were once valued as the backbone of the economy, and Trump's stance puts that back into the hands of those who have earned it on the open road. Trucking safety is not only about drivers and companies, it's about protecting the nation's roads and everyone who uses them. Just as America must defend its borders or keep the nation secure, it must also guard the highway to keep the people safe. Strong rules prevent reckless and unqualified drivers, putting lives at risk, while ensuring that only skilled drivers are trusted with such powerful machines. Our highways are not a testing ground for dangerous experiments or lowered standards. They are the arteries of our nation's economy, and the American people are relying on being able to get home safe and sound. Protecting them is not just smart policy. It is a clear path of putting America first. On a more serious note, protecting families on the road means more than politics. It means real safety for parents driving to work, for kids on their way to school, and commuters sharing the highways every day. By enforcing stronger standards for who gets behind the wheel of a truck, Trump's policies aim to reduce accidents and keep dangerous drivers off the road. And it's not just policy, it's a life or death situation. And the safety of American families must come first. For years, both the media and some officials have been accused of downplaying the role of immigrant drivers in serious highway crashes. Instead of giving the public the truth, reporters often softened or left key details out. Now, this pattern leaves families without real answers and drivers without accountability. Another hidden piece of the problem comes from carriers themselves. Some trucking companies are shut down after repeated safety violations, only to quietly open under a new name. The same unsafe practices and the same risks return to the road, and this cycle undermines public safety and exposes drivers and families to prevent danger. They hide the truth, but Trump is ripping off the cover of their lies. By forcing the issue into the open, the freeze on visas signals that there will be no more silence when it comes to protecting American highways. The debate over trucking safety and immigration is not going away anytime soon. Families, workers, and businesses all depend on safe roads and fair rules. Trump's approach makes it clear that protecting American lives comes before pleasing special interests or looking the other way. Meanwhile, the message is clear. America will not accept any weak rules that put the people in danger. Now, the uproar may grow, but the priority will still remain clear. Safety and accountability, and American workers come first.